I'd like to call to order the City of Washington Park and Recreation Commission. The roll call, please.
Dan Cassett, Bob Zurich,
Present.
Bob Kleppel,
Here.
Kevin Creedy, Jeff Packey, Dwayne Reed, Tessie Steffens,
Here.
Sparky Stuckenschneider,
Here.
Debbie Todebush, Dave Waymeyer, Betty Werner,
Here.
Gavin Woolley,
Here.
Darren Lamb.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes for our November 10th meeting.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tessie, second by Betty. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Director's report.
Director's report, I'll try to keep this fairly short. Staffing updates, so last month we were 3 full-time staff short. Now we're only 2. We had one guy, Derek Kuschel, who left in August right after the fair. Things didn't work out where he went, and he asked if he could come back, and he left on good terms, so we did rehire Derek. And that's good because he's got some good ball field experience and things like that. And so we did replace his he was kind of the ball field prep guy during the summer. We did replace his position with another guy who had quite a bit of experience from Pacific Athletic Association. And even though we were towards the end of the season when he started, he's doing a real good job and knows a lot about fields. So the new guy will stay with the ball fields, and then Derek will kind of fill in and assist where needed and things like that. So, but we still are 2 full-time staff short. We did hire, she hasn't started yet, a permanent part-time person to help out in the office when other staff members are sick, on vacation, lunch break, for special projects going on in the department. I know I'll be able to use her with a good number of things that I have on my plate that I can never seem to get to. So things are slowly moving along there. Programs, you guys received an additional handout in your packet of different programs. Upcoming programs, we just had Old Fashioned Christmas. I won't read through everything on the sheet. We got letters to Santa going on right now. The brass band's coming up this Sunday from 3 to 5 at the auditorium, and that's a free event. Just had Angel of Hope this past Monday, and looked to me, I've been to one of them so far since I've been here, but I mean, looked like record attendance to me from
It was pretty high, yeah.
what I saw. Always seems to be cold on those nights, no matter, we've been having
Make a bit of difference.
temperatures in the 70s, yet it was in the 30s that night. And so an update on the bricks there in the garden, there's a total of 314 bricks and then 26 new ones for this year. So, and we also do have that sign, it may be complete, and then will be installed up there for the Angel of Hope, the sign that was donated by Kiwanis. So, flashlight candy cane hunt is coming up next week on the 16th. Still taking registrations for that. Fitness class, these are new classes that will be held in the auditorium. So we're happy to have one new classes and to make use of the auditorium for some classes. And then on the back side of the sheet, pickleball is going on in the auditorium, co-ed volleyball leagues, still looking for some teams on Thursdays. Daddy-daughter dance is a big event coming up in the auditorium. Registration's open now. And then obviously Easter egg hunt coming up in the spring, and then co-ed softball. So that's that. I just wanted to, in these meetings, we don't always cover programs a ton, so I wanted to give you some update of what's going on. Any questions on programming?
Where does the flashlight candy cane hunt occur?
That is, I've never been to that one. Auditorium?
Auditorium.
Yeah. I'm used to, I know Kirkwood had one that was outside one time, so I almost always say outside, but this one's at the auditorium. So.
And the other thing, I just want to thank the Angel of Hope ceremony. They streamed it.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And it was really, really nice. I would hope that they would continue to stream it. It was for people that couldn't get there, and I ended up watching it, and it was very well done, and so I like that idea. I think that reaches out to a lot of people that might want to go but couldn't get there. So that was, whose ever idea, good job.
Last
Robin
year
did it.
was the
Robin
first
did it.
year
It
we
was-
did that,
yeah,
right?
We did it in the
Because
parking
of
lot
COVID.
last year, because we didn't, but yeah, she did a great job.
Yeah.
And it's still up, so that's the nice part about it. I've had a couple people get a hold of me today and say, wow, I watched it last night, and, you know, it really did. She did a great job of streaming
Yes.
that.
Yep.
So, it's a wonderful tool that has come, I guess, out of the whole COVID thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else with programming? I'll quickly go through some maintenance stuff. We're doing athletic field maintenance on soccer. We pretty much wrapped that up, I think. They were doing some minor low spot repairs on field 1 last week and possibly the week before. Right now, this week and last week, they're concentrating on football on the, I guess it'd be south side field along that fence line where the creek is. This summer, it was July, and I mean, really hot. And we hadn't had, even in July, we were still getting a decent amount of rain. But we hadn't had any in a while, and I was walking the field, and it was like mushy. And I just figured it was a broken irrigation line somewhere, and Josh checked everything out, and he couldn't find anything. The irrigation was running fine. But we had had a rain, I don't know how many days prior to that, but it was, the day I was there, it was hot as heck over there, and I just couldn't believe the field was so saturated. Where we were getting water was when we had a lot of rain, and we had a lot of rain in June and July, big downpour rains, where the water comes down the hill, follows the drive down the hill, and it was shooting, instead of kind of being diverted towards the creek and into the creek, it was shooting out. When it got to the base of the hill, kind of where it turns to go towards the building, it was shooting out onto the south field. And it was coming down that hill so hard that in one spot they found like a pothole where the water was like ramping up and then back down into the soil and was creating a divot there. So anyway, long story short, we trimmed a bunch of trees and removed some trees along that creek because that south field gets a ton of shade. About half of it is shaded most of the day. And so that field is a bluegrass Bermuda field. And so the Bermuda is not coming in very well on that south side of that field because it's always shaded and this year wet. And so we needed to clear out that fence line anyway, so we got a 6-foot path on the other side of the fence between the fence and the creek now that we can mow and maintain. We trimmed all the trees along the fence line to divert shade off of that field. And then there was a high spot in the field, I'd say probably about the center of the field, on the edge of the field at the fence line. We regraded that, and so all the water coming down the hill along the drive is now being diverted into or near the creek and not onto the field. And so we seeded and strawed all that. They're wrapping that up probably tomorrow, so that'll be that's been I mean, there was a couple times this summer in July where we couldn't mow that field because it was so wet. Between the shade, half of it being shaded almost all day long, and then the rain, the water diverting from the hillside.
How close are those trees to the field, Wayne?
They were, well, some of them were growing up like against the fence, but on the creek side. So now we have a real good line where we can get a mower in there at least 6 feet from the fence line to the creek. I don't know if that helps you or not. There was none on the field side of the fence.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is because we've done a lot of tree trimming out of the golf course, and to include cutting roots. Because what we found is that, I think everybody thinks that the roots go out as far as the last branch. It's actually, the roots will grow out twice the height of a tree.
Oh, right.
So you probably got some roots in there that are
Yeah, there probably are. Some trees were removed, there was a couple dead ones in there too. And then a lot of them were trimmed. If you have time and go over there, you'll see a lot of them were trimmed.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty tall trees, and we didn't want to, we've had, since I've been here, a couple, I wouldn't say complaints, but resident concerns when we do anything between the creek and those houses over there. And surprisingly, we haven't got any calls this time when we're doing work over there. But we're pretty conscious about when we do work over there, because we know the residents like that barrier between,
Buffer there.
yeah, between their house and football. So we didn't want to take everything out, plus we're not in the business to take everything out, nor do we have the manpower or time to take everything out. We're just trying to get the main ones that were, what we deem were causing most of the issues. So we should be in much better shape, I think. Landscaping, mulching's going on as time allows, tree removal and trimming's going on as time allows. And then landscape bed removals are going on. They haven't really started, but we're looking, you've probably heard me talk about this before. Any bed that we have determined that we can get rid of, we're going to try to get rid of, because with a shortage of manpower and time, even when we're fully staffed, some of these beds are getting out of control, and it's costing us manpower hours, it's costing us chemical material supplies and things like that. So we've have a number of them at Phoenix to address when we go over there to do playground work in a couple weeks, month or so. So it's definitely a priority on our radar. And there'll be a few around the lake that we're going to remove too, so, which will help clear up things as you walk around the lake. It'll be visually, it'll be a little better. You'll be able to see into the like if you're walking on the trail, you'll be able to see into the water a little better, things like that. Some of those beds out there are just grass landscaping beds that, I mean, it would be easier for us just to be able not to have to mow around them or trim them or spray them, just mow on through. So. Park signage, we have signage on the way. You should see a new sign at Echo Camp Park soon. The Angel of Hope sign should go in soon. And I think there was another one. Can't remember what it was, but I think there's a third one. And then the next round of signs will be the Lions Lake signs that the Rotary donated through the big donation of the Pavilion, column rock, and the sign.
Rotary or Lions?
Sorry, Lions, yes. The Lions and Rotary just accepted a certificate of appreciation from the mayor for their donations this year. The Rotary's umbrella donation at the pool, which was nearly $5,000, and then Lions' donation of the rock columns on the Pavilion, which is $30,000, and then the signage, which was $5,000. So we did receive a check on Monday for the $5,000 for the signage. So I do have some mock-ups from Ziegler of those signs to get to the Lions Club, so I'll be doing that this week, and I've been in communication with them, so they know that's coming.
Wayne, where's the, you said Angel of Hope sign, where will that be located?
I know the general area will be at the top of the field, or top of the hill, I should say, kind of where that path between soccer field 2 and 3 tees into the pathway coming up the hill to the Angel of Hope, in that general area there, before you reach Angel of Hope.
What about down below where the restrooms are? How are people going to know exactly where it is without some kind of direction there?
Well, we walk a fine line. It's one of those places that we don't want every person to know about because of vandalism. Those statues are very limited in quantity, and they were very expensive.
I got you.
So up until now, there's never been any signage. And so we're, through the Kiwanis donation, which was $1,000, we do want a sign there where people, if you were to walk between the two soccer fields and then come out and tee into the trail going up to the Angel of Hope, we do want a sign there so at least you know what you're getting ready to walk into.
Do we have a camera one way up there?
We don't have anything there currently. the city's trying, we have to get a pole up there, on top of that hill, and it is in the city's plans, in the near future to get a pole up there. They've been working on acquiring a pole and funding and things like that, so. And it'll take a pretty big truck to get that, because of the size of the pole, pretty big truck to get it in the ground and everything like that. But it is on the city's radar to get a camera up there that would cover that area and kind of the parking lot of the All Abilities Playground, and possibly even, depending on the camera and where the pole is, maybe even some of the soccer fields, so.
And there's no light up there at the Angel. There is no light.
Well, some of these cameras are, they can work at night.
Yeah,
Very limited.
Yeah, most of the city's cameras are motion detected.
Right.
Like deer.
But they do need some light, yeah.
Okay.
Update, where is that on the, we talked, or you saw a letter from the chamber last month about potential RV park. And as you guys know from that letter, it's no longer going at Burger Park or the disc golf course. I just want to let you know, they're not ready. They're looking at some alternate locations, and one of them that they're looking at would be, I think, a pretty good site. So you'll probably be hearing more about that in the near future. They're not anywhere close to talking about it or anything like that, but they are looking for,
Is it on park property?
no,
Okay.
no. So the city would have nothing to do with it. The only reason the city was involved this past time is because we had the property there and the ARA funds.
From our last meeting, I think it was suggested that the rest of us kind of think of some ideas where an RV park might be located in this community. And I got thinking about that. You know where the old golf driving range is up there? I don't know if that's really utilized anymore, but I think that belongs to the city. It was donated, right?
No, it's private
No.
property,
Echo
and
Camp property.
Echo Camp's on that.
I don't think the owners,
Be on
That's
that.
LB Echo Camp property.
Oh, shoot, that's gonna be a tough one.
yeah, I don't think the owners
That
wanting to
includes
sell.
the, and that includes the parking lot for the fair. That's
Okay.
down there, that's his.
I see.
Yeah.
Scratch that idea.
And any questions? That ends my report unless anyone's got any questions.
I noticed today a lot of dirt on Pop Barklage Field.
So that's the dirt coming, and new business will go over some
Oh, okay,
project
okay.
updates, but that's the dirt from Ronzik Field.
Okay.
We're hauling it over there, so.
Wayne, I just had a question for the East Rotary Trail. Obviously, Mr. Whitworth, and the culvert possibility. Is that something that you're entertaining? Is that something that is a
It
possibility?
is, he calls like probably once a month, I think. But it's,
The answer from you, he gets to me, so,
and then Darren, and he goes to Darren too.
okay.
Um,
I was
it's
not
not-
aware of it, so I just wanted to see what's.
It's not I mean, unless you're 15 feet off the trail, it's not a hazard. It could be extended, yes. Do we want to extend it? Yes. Do we have time right now? No. I told him that in person in August when I was down there when they were doing the cleanup from the illegal tree removal. He was, when the trail was closed, he was back there at the site where we're doing the cleanup, where all the equipment was. And I told him, he brought it up then, and I told him, he's like, well, do you think that it's, justifiable that you, and I said, yes, but it's not top priority, and I don't think anyone's, unless you're really off the trail, anyone's gonna get, anything's possible, but it's really not. If it was a really, really safety concern, we would have addressed it when we redid the trail there last fall, last fall, I guess it was. But, take a look at it.
Where is this?
It's on the East Trail, before you get, not too far in, between the beginning, when you go into the woods, well before the bridge.
Okay, okay.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, you go in through the trees, and you kind of round a turn, and it's on your left. Before you get to the big open area where
Yeah.
MoDOT dumped all the rock.
Yep, yep.
Build up that, it's before that.
Okay.
On
And
that
what is
side.
his concern?
Basically,
the
there's a
culvert's a
underneath
little
the trail,
short.
And he thinks that the culvert could go all the way to the river, because next to the trail is a ravine that people walk their dogs there, or, so, again, the trail is not compromised.
Yeah, it's a,
What my understanding is, it's just between the trail and the river could be a culvert extension.
And then fill, and that's a pretty good sized ravine, if I recall correctly, isn't it?
Right.
And then fill it?
no, he's just saying extend, because the pipe doesn't, like, it's not a real long pipe. It comes out from the trail
It just stopped.
and it kind of stops.
Yeah.
But it's, far enough, it's not a safety concern. It would be nice if it was a longer pipe that went further towards the river to get the water, further, closer to the river. And I don't disagree with that, but it's not, I mean,
Not a, okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
yeah, anything else with park report?
Okay. Communication from the audience, anybody have anything they want to say? Okay. Whole business.
Whole business, name change for Phoenix Park. I believe, did I send the letter to everyone?
Yes.
To the park
Yes.
board? The letter I wrote, based on what we discussed in this meeting, to council. Council had it. I guess I led the discussion the other night during council. They wanted to know how this came up, why now, things like that. Explained everything to them. They wanted to know why, and Jeff, you can fill in wherever you think you need to. They wanted to know why the commission, didn't want to change the name of the park. I explained to them that you all went through that when the park was built with someone, and doing that now, you all felt that it would kind of be a slap in the face, and you didn't want to have to explain why you're doing it now, and you didn't do it in 2012. We talked about briefly talked about the function of that wall out there, the Hall of Fame wall, and why that's there. And then I presented your recommendation of renaming, naming the trail Richard F. Stratman Trail. And they asked if that was an alternate solution, and I said yes. And they accepted that solution.
Oh.
Does that cover it, Jeff? I mean,
Yeah, no, approved. Right.
So I'll be getting some signage. I have to figure out the signage. I'll add that to my list of signs, and we'll get something that looks nice. And I'm thinking right now, one down, I call it down in the valley, where you come over from Rabbit Trail after you cross the bridge. There's a Boy Scout project sign there. Probably one in that area, and then one up top by the tennis courts, Pavilion area, when you kind of start to go down there.
The only thing I want to add is I know in a couple of discussions, Mr. Cassett had mentioned that we no longer name parks after people. And it was brought up that that's an ordinance, and that's not an ordinance in the city that we don't do that. I think that was probably a park board previous to a lot of you guys.
Yeah, it was.
Or maybe some of you were on there, and it was kind of the consensus that that's what we were gonna do going forward. So I just want you to know that, again, I can't speak 100% here, but I don't think there's anything in the city code and ordinance that says you can't. And I didn't want that to be misconstrued from the last meeting, but I just think that that's something that the park board had originally, or not originally, but in the past, agreed on, that we're no longer gonna do that.
Right.
So going forward, you may still be asked, and it's something that, I don't know what's the best way to go about that there's not an ordinance in place. And I don't think there's a place for an ordinance. I don't
No.
think there is. It's just a consensus that the park board needs to remember and pass along, that this is what we decided years ago. So, again, if you remember the conversation the last couple of meetings, I just didn't want anybody to think that you can't due to ordinance. It's just a matter of discussion that you guys have, so.
And future park boards could change that too.
Ask had we.
As
can
could
we?
you, right, exactly. That's why I didn't want you to think that it was stuck in ordinance, it had to be passed off of that. But I do agree with what's happening here, recommended that to the council, so they approved the trail, or naming the trail, so we can move on from this situation and see what presents next time.
Thank you, Jeff.
And then
Thanks, Jeff.
regarding, kind of in the same topic as that, the Hall of Fame out here, a couple months ago, I guess it was, I sent out emailed out the application for that. So if you know of anyone, or, you know, if you hear people talking or whatever, you at least have a copy of the application. We obviously have them downstairs too, and I could always email them to whoever would need one. So just keep that in mind going forward.
Okay, new business. City council recognition for Parks Department donations.
I touched on that briefly a while ago. The mayor presented a certificate of, I guess, appreciation to the Lions and Rotaries for clubs for their donations. And we're working to do one with Ann, oh, I forgot her last name, that donated the other umbrella to the pool. Oh, what is it? That's a long last
She
name.
was a Tobin.
Scharfenberg.
Oh, yes, yeah,
Yeah,
Tobin.
she was a Tobin.
And I talked to her, and I had a feeling this was the case, because when I talked to her, when she came in and dropped the check off, she really is not looking for any recognition. And so she won't be able to make it in town to receive anything in person. But she said whatever the city wanted to do, you know, at a city council meeting, was fine. So we'll be doing one of those in the future sometime. But both clubs got a certificate of appreciation and some pictures and things like that, so it was nice. Well-deserved, so. I think that's it on that.
Next is the Fairgrounds Improvements.
So the Fair Board are doing a number of improvements at the fairgrounds. Mostly, I'd say, a lot of it's cosmetic. Those brick walls that are up there, the one by the food court, the one in front of the first aid building, and then the very small one under the clock tower that were brick. It took us a long time to figure out why this was occurring, but that brick was donated from someone, and it had gotten wet at some point. And when, I didn't know this, when brick gets wet, it deteriorates. And so that's, I guess, what happens sometimes when you take free gifts from people. So long story short, they recognized that it was an issue, and they are redoing the facade. So right now, if you go up there, it's all like white, and then that will be painted, if I remember right, like a grayish color. So it won't look like a brick wall anymore, and it should not flake off anymore, which will be good. They're also they're gonna paint the front of the admin building and the JC's building to match the food court building, so that grayish color, but I guess they only have enough funds to paint the front of it. So the rest of the building will be the same white color as it is. And then they're also replacing the lights, going to LED under the cattle barn, swine barn, and the fair pavilion. So quite a bit of work going on up there in stages, and very much appreciated. So I've been meeting with them from time to time, picking out colors and stuff like that, so.
Now, is that the Parks Department, Penny, to run the lights in those buildings?
There are meters, so when the fair's going on, they're charged electric for all that stuff up there. And then, so that, they have their contract runs, if I remember right. As far as electric goes, it's like maybe mid-July. It's after the 4th of July event up there. And then all of August, I think it is.
Okay.
And so they're charged per meter. We have the numbers from the meters, and they're charged whatever it costs for that number of days during the fair time.
There's
And
a
then-
couple meters out there that the chamber pays for year-round,
Yes,
and there's
Yes.
a couple meters that they pay for those 6 weeks.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Thank you.
one of them, I know it came up recently from someone, is whatever meter controls the cooler, the walk-in cooler at the food court,
Yeah.
because that runs year-round, because they have food in there nearly year-round. I had to do a little investigation for someone, but to make sure that was one of their meters, and it is one of their meters that they pay for year-round, so. Anyways, anything else with that?
Next, program and facility rental.
We covered that already, I think, unless you guys have any more questions. I made this agenda before I sent that sheet out via email, so I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget about it. I guess we can move on to project updates.
Okay.
Kind of as I do every meeting, or try to remember to do every meeting, I'll give you, and most of these dates haven't changed. Playground, last I heard, is set to come in last week in January, so that's right around the corner. Ronzik's project started yesterday, so someone talked about the dirt a while ago. We're taking the dirt, the infield dirt, the good high-quality dirt that we mix in every year, and we're hauling it over to Barclays Field to reuse it. So that's going on now. They're stripping the dirt off there. And then that project's full steam ahead, so we're into it now. There are a couple days they told me they would start tomorrow, and they started yesterday, so that's good. She assures me, at least right now, that they're experiencing some delays in turf, but she thinks even with those delays that we'll have the field ready for play on May 1st, or by May 1st, so I hope she's right. And I did, per your request, some of you guys were probably copied on this, I told Bill Deckelman from the high school that based on that schedule, he wouldn't be able to have a season there, and he was well aware of it, and had already made arrangements to play somewhere else, so
Good.
we've solved that issue then. And then continuing on projects, pavilions are ongoing, the footings have been poured, and then probably next week, we're gonna start pouring my guys are gonna start pouring concrete out there for the slabs, so you'll see us, that'll take us a little while, because those are big slabs of concrete that gotta go in on all those pavilions, so that's our next big project, is doing that concrete. And then an update you probably don't know.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Any change on pavilion delivery update?
Oh, I did inquire about that recently, and I was told they are being produced and they'll be finished in January, but then they'll be being fabricated, but then they gotta go to the paint shop. So I put January question mark, because they said they won't know for a few more weeks until they get closer to the end of fabrication, how long, if there's any delays with the paint shop or anything like that, so we're hoping January, it could be February.
Thank you.
I didn't get a real clear answer, so. And then last, what I consider a project that was ongoing, probably has come to a halt, is the main stage roof addition. We got the bids in Monday, I guess it was, and they came in very, very high due to the steel prices. And we met with the Chamber of Commerce, and it's not looking like that's going to be a project on this year's budget anymore. So it was almost double, yeah.
Double what
Really?
they thought.
Wow.
Wow,
So-
Yeah,
wow.
can't do that.
And that was the lowest bid, yeah. Some of them
Right.
were
Some
much
were
more
even-
than that,
Some were
yeah.
close to triple.
Yeah.
One of the bids was, yeah,
Triple what we thought. Triple what?
we budgeted 485,000 in the capital improvement sales
Yeah,
tax.
482.5, yeah.
482.5. Some bids came in at 880, some up to 1.2.
Yeah.
Oh, my
The
gosh.
steel cost was more than our budget.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, for some,
Contract.
yeah.
And again, I wasn't at the meeting, I'm just hearing from what
Yeah, no,
I'm
you're
being told, but that's,
totally accurate, yeah.
So is it scratched or postponed?
just postponed, I think. It's not scratched.
No, yeah, it's still, I mean,
Sales tax.
it'll be bumped out at probably a few years. The problem is, our engineering firm that came up with the bid documents and bid everything out, he contacted some of the bidders and asked them if, take COVID out of the situation, what would the pricing be? And they said it would probably still be high, and so they don't even expect, based on the bids we got now, even a year from now, or maybe even longer than that, they're not really even expecting the prices to come down much, if any. So it's kind of one of those things you kind of scratch your head, and we'll continue on. It is in the half-cent sales tax, and we got, you know, we still have time to do it. This current one goes to 26, so we still have some future years yet. But I don't know if, you know, like I said, the pricing may not go down, or if it does, not much, so.
Is there any chance to piecemeal it, do $500,000 worth now and
I doubt it.
Didn't have a contract on
think
that before we tore them
You
up.
can scratch your head and say, we should have done it when we built the stage in the first place, but that's already passed. I really don't think there's anything you can piecemeal. I mean, it's steel and concrete.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and both of them are really high right now.
Right, and that's just, you know, there is no way to cut back. There's no way to make it
In
lighter,
in a situation like that, A begets B begets C, there's a progression of things you have to do to construct something.
And a couple of the bidders that bid on it, they weren't even sure they could get the supplies for it. They still bid on it, but they weren't sure that they would even be able to get the supplies to do it. And if they did, it could be 6, 8, 9 months out, you know.
How do you bid that?
I don't know, that's a good question. I mean, I think, if I remember right, some of them took deducts on that, you know, city could have taken a deduct on that, so.
In other words, we didn't have a signed contract on what these things were gonna cost us?
We had an estimate, and so that half-cent sales tax was implemented in, what year was it, 18?
Oh, 18.
And so when I started, it was like at, I think 370 or something like that. And then we had started the process with our engineering firm on this, of designing it and bidding it out and everything like that. We went through the RFQ process. And before the city implemented or finalized the budget, we checked with the engineering firm and we said, this is what we had budgeted. Do you think this is a realistic number? And they told us to bump it up 100,000. And so it went from like 370 to 482.5. And it's still not enough, not even close to being enough.
well, in 2018, we probably could have built that roof for 480.
Yeah.
That's probably a legit, true number there.
Right, yeah.
But it's just not realistic in today's world, and it doesn't look good in the near future.
And in 2018, we didn't have the tax dollars in the bank
Right.
to do it.
Correct. And that's why everything is pushed back on a budget schedule for everything, you know, I mean, the pool was
Right.
first and everything else. I mean, you guys are all well aware of that. And we
COVID-
promised the voters at that time we would not borrow money to do any projects, but as the money came in, do it. So that's why it was budgeted out for a year. So.
and COVID didn't exist then, of course.
Correct. That was, I
Nobody
still,
can
you
predict
know, it's a
that.
big deal. Supply, I mean, I don't know. I mean, those people know better than I do when the steel prices are gonna go down or be available, but it doesn't look good.
Yeah, I mean, the city's not doing the airport hangars that
Correct.
were budgeted also in that half-cent sales tax because of steel prices. They were supposed to do them, I think, last year. They put them off to this year, and they're not doing them this year either, I don't think.
Right, it will not be this year. Last year, we tried to do it, we could get some cost share issues, so, you know, went through that process, and then now it's not even cost prohibited, so.
Wayne, just curious, the Parks Department, is it fully staffed now? I mean, do you have all the guys and gals you need?
No, earlier I covered that. We rehired a guy that left us in August, right after the fair. Because since August, we've been 3 full-time staff short. Just rehired a guy that came back, so we're 2 full-time staff short now. So it does affect us. We got a lot of, I feel like we have a lot of sticks in the fire, but we don't have anything complete, especially after you heard our project list here. But a lot of those are contracted out things, so seems like we have a little part in a lot of these projects. So. The next one I was going to touch base on that is coming up, next big one that's coming up here in the near future this winter would be the skate park, tearing all the asphalt out of there and redoing it in concrete, new fence, and some other minor cosmetic things to the bathroom and pavilion over there. So that will come later this winter, and that will be a part that will be another project that we have some part in. But most of it will be ripping out. We found out we can probably get a contractor to bid it out where they rip out the asphalt and the fence. You know, they would subcontract it out, but someone told us they would bid it like that. So we'll bid it out like that. We thought we might have a part in demolition, tearing out all the asphalt and stuff like that, but I think we can probably, to speed that thing along, because Darren keeps asking me about it, I think we can do it that way and hopefully get that one under our belt maybe before spring.
Wayne, I saw the headlines of the Greenway, that, so we don't have to read that article, can you just tell me what's?
I didn't see the article yet. I have a meeting about the Greenway tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow or Friday,
Yeah,
because I was not here when that was developed, that whole plan and the grant and all that stuff. So I know very little about it.
Gonna have to read the
And
article.
so at the council meeting the other night, when the resident asked about it, I got a little more educated. And then, since then, John, the Public Works Director, because I asked Darren I was like, do you think we should have a meeting about it? And he said, yeah, we need to have a meeting about it to get staff kind of, because it's been going on for so long
Yes.
with the government shutdown because of COVID and stuff like that. We're having a meeting, it's either tomorrow or Friday, and with a bunch of staff members that would be involved in this project, including myself and Chad. Having one big meeting, and we're all going to be briefed on where we are, where everything is, and going forward, how that all work. But that will, as I told Chad today, I got some drawings and stuff today based on that meeting coming up. But that will be the Parks Department baby once it's built, so.
okay.
I don't know if it was a coincidence or what, but one resident came up and asked about the time frame on the whole thing at Monday night's meeting, and then on Tuesday night's paper, you read the article, so
Yeah,
somehow it came up, coincidence or what, but Darren explained it Monday night, and Sal a little bit too, he's been involved, but basically with the MoDOT cost share, everything MoDOT takes 3 years, and it's now taken, going on 4
Yeah.
or 5. And that's just where it amounts to, it's with their shutdown, work from home, whatever issues, it's an extension of MoDOT. So it's really nothing the city's dragging our feet on, but it's just a matter of getting approval. And there's no reason to start and spend money if you don't know if you're gonna get it back from them for sure. So that's what, it's all on the up and up, and I think it's all gonna happen. It's just a matter of waiting for them to get the full approval.
so it's kind of good timing. I was at that Monday's meeting, obviously, and I heard the resident talk, and I've been wanting to have a meeting. I asked Darren, I was like, because I wanted to be briefed on it too. And so after that, I asked Darren, I said, you think we can have a meeting? And he's like, yeah. Well, then John, the Public Works Director, based on the resident asking all the questions at the council meeting, then I knew the Missourian was doing a report on it, because I was getting emails from John that were being pushed out to the group that's having a meeting with all the facts and figures and drawings and stuff like that. So it'll be good. So I'll have to read the article when I get home.
So Jeff, that trail will be very similar to the Riverfront Trail, basically?
I think it's gonna be,
By-
Part of it's streets.
it's right, it's gonna be on and off street trails.
Correct.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a
Basically gonna start
greenway.
there from where the old Frax building was. That's what that basin is, to start there. And from my understanding, it's gonna run in the creek a lot, or right next to, on
Next
the
to,
bank,
yeah.
concrete, trail, and then come out like onto A Street in some spots, over to 47,
Yep.
connect with the bridge trail, and then a potential of going further east, like past Patients First, on the bottom of Lourdes down there.
Oh, yeah.
That way, the thought then was to connect with South Point School, but since then, the South Point School is no longer there, but I still think it's part of.
It does go
East Side
past there
Road.
down there.
So we
Yeah.
would go past the dog park and connect to the East Trail that way.
Correct, yes.
And again,
Yeah.
I'd be lying, it's been years since I've seen the plan, it's been 16, 17, maybe 17 or 18 since we've actually seen the,
Yeah.
we first started looking at it, it goes up and down and on the street, and it changed less on street, more.
Right.
But it wants to connect basically Washington High School at Sunnyside. And it comes down the hill, there'll be a sidewalk all the way to Washington High School up the hill. Basically, there's a path worn there now in the grass from kids who walk down the hill and A Street, et cetera. So, a school path and, basically Greenway inside. And Wayne wasn't even here then. I kind of questioned it, not necessarily opposed to it, but questioned it way back when, because it's just another one of those things that our parks guys are gonna have to take care of. It's gonna be a maintenance.
It's gonna be
There's gonna be
nightmare.
tree limbs on it every single day. That's what my fear was. And keeping staff and everything else like that. Like Wayne just said, it's gonna be our baby when it's done. Then it's gonna be another, park staff
It'll be your
to
night.
keep it. I don't know, I can't tell you exactly, you know, water running in the creek path next to it, how that's gonna affect things, you know, there's a lot of questions there, but maybe that's part of the approval process right now that someone else is discussing, so that's all I know.
There's gonna have to be some bridges built some places across that creek.
I think culverts, for sure, I don't know if they're bridges or culverts, I don't know that for sure
I
about.
think they were planning on using existing bridges. That was my understanding when they were looking at that.
Because I think part of it'll go like on Camp Street Bridge, that was even mentioned as far that way, you know, it would be on one side, cross over, be on the other side. You know, again, I don't know if it's some of it on street, again, you can agree or disagree, I don't know, there's just a lot of questions as far as making sure it's better for us than just something to put in.
I don't know how they're gonna get the concrete trucks to some of them locations.
That was the first thing
A helicopter?
That's how they cut the trees along the railroad tracks.
but I think, like Wayne says, if you're having meetings about it and we're talking more about it, then hopefully
We'll get no.
Yeah, I'll know more information by
we'll
next
be
time.
updated accordingly, sure.
Okay,
Yeah, that's all I had. for
anything else?
Business.
Anybody want to bring anything up? Nothing? Next meeting is January the 12th. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A
By
second.
Gavin, second by Bob. The third, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Happy
everybody.
New Year, everybody.
Yeah, and Happy New Year. You're right.
Everything.